as a director, it was lovely to hear this great retard work so well. So let's dive in with Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Um, what I would like to do with this is actually work a little bit backwards. So we're going to start over on page 5. We're going to start at measure 29. And so make sure that you've got your pencils with you, just in case there are anything that might be surprising to you in terms of how we approach this. So let's go ahead and talk very briefly, starting at measure 29. You'll hear this in the recording. Someday soon we all will be together. Of course, we breathe there. If the fates allow, fates allow. You can have a little space there, please. If the fates allow, fates allow. Not a big deal, not this gaping hole, but when you see the comma, it's okay to have a little inflection. Of course, we'll breathe after the end of the page there. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. So if you have any question, until then, sing through that comma. I've got you marked on the next line, have to muddle through somehow. Muddle through somehow. Breathe. So have yourself a merry little Christmas, all the way to the downbeat. Merry little Christmas, have yourself. And then I think the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory. Breath marks, caesura or the railroad tracks. So again, just make sure that we're in agreement as to those little moments. Most of them are pretty clear, but I do want to make sure that we're on the same page. And I may send out a document just to get folks all on the same page, since we can't always be here. Let's start right on 29. There's nothing difficult about the register here. It'll be a good way to warm up. Let's sing right here on page 5. Here we go. 1, 2, go. All right, so you hear the inflections. Every couple of measures, we have a little breath at the end, and that slightly interrupts the tempo. Any questions, though, about those couple 3 pages? Where we do or don't take a breath, anything like that? Okay, so a couple things. Go ahead, Julie.
Am I unmuted? Okay.
Yes, go.
Those of us who were going to bump up to first sopranos, does this song count as 4-part or 3-part?
Well,
what do you want me to sing?
Yeah, well, it bumps around, and I've got it listed. Like for instance, on page 20, on page 529, where we just started, that's in 3 parts. See the SSA, and then over on page 6, it's 4-part.
Got it. I will follow that. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So 2 things. One is general to the whole piece. One is specific. With this piece, the quarter note is very long, and we keep going back and forth between quarter notes and eighth notes. Please make sure. There is a tendency, and I hear it in some of the sample recordings, there is a tendency When we start a section, like at page 5, measure 29, there's a tendency to somehow rush these quarter notes to not be together. So make sure when you finish one section, you start a new one. Someday soon we all will be together. Make sure that your quarter notes, think the eighth notes inside them, subdivide. Ba, 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 ba. So that way we don't jump the gun, especially to beat 2. Someday soon, sorry. Someday soon we all will be together. It's easy to rush the quarter note, especially the first one, okay? Keep that in mind. That's general for the whole piece. One thing specific in the section we just did on page 7, the second measure, I should have marked a tenuto. I've talked about this. I should have marked a tenuto in your score. On the downbeat of measure 40, your C sharp, we want that to be tenuto. And you'll hear it in the recording, right? Have yourself a merry little. There's the slightest elongation. I mean, it's slight, but listen to the recording, which we'll use in just a moment. You'll hear it. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. It's just a tenuto on that one note. Mostly it's because the sopranos go up to a high A and we don't want to rush that, okay? Good. No questions about that section? All right, let's back it up. And backing it up means we go to the B section, which is on page 4, measure 21. But we're going to start on measure 20. I want to connect these two sections. On the recording, there is a slight accelerando in measure 20. Things get slightly faster. It's not the easiest thing to hear, which is why I'm mentioning it several times. Because if it's a little weird for you, I want you to remind yourself, oh yeah, this speeds up and that's why it's a little weird, okay? So we're going to start miles away. But the point is, miles away, ooh. The downbeat of 21 comes a little earlier than you expect because we're speeding up, right? So just be aware of all that. So let's start miles away, measure 20. Then I want to go through our oohs and our ahs, take the breath where it says we're supposed to, etc. So here's our B section. Measure 20 miles away. 1, 2, go. And pause for a moment, pause. Another reason why it's easy to rush there at 29, the second quarter note, is because you've just come out of a slightly faster tempo. So you really got to have the reins on that horse, okay? So that way we're together and it's beautiful as opposed to a moment where it gets a little fuzzy. Now, have you all heard Dorothy's practice track for you? It's great. She handles this moment at measure 25 at the bottom of 4, handles it brilliantly. So just, use that to your advantage. It's a difficult part, especially when you're off on your own. One thing I want to draw your attention to, and that is in measure 25, make sure your very last note on the word were is an F sharp, right? That sharp continues through. Okay. So make sure that you are, holding on to that as you sing this. The nice thing is it doesn't change. That makes it a little easier. but the accidental isn't right there attached to the note, so it can be confusing. Any questions about this moment, the B section here? Okay, let's back it up. The opening section we'll take and we'll stop over on page 4 like we just started. So we have an introduction, a little retard at the bottom of the page, the third measure into the fourth, and then we are odd tempo at measure 5. So we start with the octave in your part. Here we go. 1, 2. And pause. Good. So the A section, the beginning and the end, where we started rehearsal, has the same couple of issues for the inner voices. So one of those I want to point out is at the top of 2. At the top of 2, the last measure, let your heart be light, be light. So I should have marked that an 8th note, and I'm going to send out an email to make sure it's clear. But we want to have, with the repeated text, it needs to be separated. Let your heart be light, be light. Okay, does that make sense? So just make sure that's clear in your own part. I'm sorry, but I missed that. It's identical to what we do at the end. Here it's a little more important because we have that final consonant T. The other moment of the same issue is in the middle of 3. Middle of 3, page 3, measure 16, leading into it. Make the Yuletide gay. Ooh. You have a little separation after the word gay, and then when you initiate the ooh. Yeah, I'm really surprised I missed that stuff. Not good, not good. All right, I want to do this with the video because that's the rubato that you're going to take, obviously, right? That. So I want to do it with the video. Any questions before we go there? All righty. Okay. Here we go. What? I am the host. Can you guys hear me? Why is it telling me the host disabled the participant screen sharing? I am the host. Anybody else hosting this? I don't appear to be the host. This is really bizarre.
Maybe I accidentally hit something making someone else the host. I know there was a way to do that.
Anybody try sharing? Does anything pop up? For you all, can anybody here share?
No for me.
Okay, who knows? We've had a pretty good run with Zoom. I guess I shouldn't get too upset about it. All right, that's going to limit what we do tonight. That's okay. We're going to get good work done. So the issue with Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is believe what you see with my arm waving and believe what you hear in the recording, okay? I'll send out a note specifying some of these commas that we talked about tonight, but go with the recording, go with what you see. It'll be beautiful. Nice. Let's go ahead, please, and move to the Holiday Jazz Trio.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I just realized I didn't, on measure, page 2, measure 6, 7, 8, and then again where you just mentioned you wanted there to be a 8th note, and like on measure 16.
Yeah.
You don't want that to be a full-on 8th note and then an 8th rest. You would just want it to be a railroad tracks.
No. I mean, let me demonstrate at the top of 2.
Okay.
Let your heart be light, be light. Next. So yeah, so I'm talking about between beats 1 and 2. And so you'll finish the word light, light, be, and it's essentially an 8th note, 8th rest.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's right in tempo. We're just shortening that word so that we can, have that distinct little musical idea. A lot of times when you repeat text, it's a good opportunity to put a little space in there. All right, let's go please to the Holiday Jazz Trio. I just want to make sure we go through this today. All I wanted to do was go through it. I had hoped to use the recordings. Sorry, we can't do that. Obviously, you have access to those whenever you want. But I just want to make sure that we keep these fresh. This is all part of your next series of recordings, which are due into the month. Let's go through these one by one. Take the repeat. Obviously, I can't do the slides. So in your own space, do your, and since we've no place to go, snow, let it snow, let it snow. And remember, these are all supposed to be fun. So here we go. 1, 1, 2. One thing I might suggest doing here on page 3, obviously, if you were with the whole chorus, it's a little different. I mean, you'll have the recording in your ear, but, rather than worrying about 24 and 25, what's going on in the other voices, I'd just be hanging on to your own part. Snow, let it snow. Let it snow. All I'm thinking about is that B flat. Snow, let it snow. I'm thinking this note, so I get that note, so I get that, Again, a lot of times we tend to think of harmony as being a vertical thing. When you have tricky notes, I would encourage you to use your musical memory to make it a linear thing, not vertical, right? Snow, let it snow. Here is my note, let it snow, right? If you hold on to it that way, obviously you can't phonate like I'm doing, but you can keep it in your mind just fine. Right? Anyway, little tricky moments like that, I would encourage you. It's not that long. keep that same note in your head. And that way, you know, finding a B natural from a B flat is very easy. Finding a B natural from an F is much more difficult, like the last note you sang, right? So, all right, we've been doing this one for a long time. Any questions about what needs to happen for this to be fun? Okay, I love it. Here we go. I'll be home. You've got a great part in this piece. I think it's just about the trickiest, but you guys seem to like it. I just want to go through it. If you have any questions, let me know. It's another one of these ballads, so go with what you see on the video. Go with what you hear in the recording. Trust that stuff. Know when you're supposed to take breaths. All those things. Here we go. Ready and go. You guys have told me you're feeling pretty good about this one. Are we still good? Okay. I think the scores marked pretty clearly about anything that you do differently than what you see with the couple of early cutoffs. Again, there's a lot of rubato, a lot of push and pull, but that's cool, guys. If we can pull that off in the virtual world, that's fun. That's why I'm saying really, embrace what you see and what you hear. There's a reason why I saved these kinds of pieces for the end, right? Because it's harder, but you guys showed it with Thanksgiving song tonight. Just listen to the end. It's so cool. Good. Jingle Bell Rock. This is and it's the same style as the beginning, same form, same everything, to be honest. Here we are, Jingle Bell Rock. This one we've talked a lot about, has some really important final consonants. Your part actually, for the most part, is pretty easy to know where to put those consonants. Some of the, like the soprano ones, sometimes are just holding long notes and it makes it a little harder. You typically have the moving part, but believe in those final Ks. You don't have to be Germanic about it, right? It's not Hexaglied, but we need to say, jingle around the clock. There needs to be a little one, okay? Here we go. And that very second measure, Jingle Bell Rock, that's why the black line's there, right? It's an early cutoff. It is not Jingle Bell Rock. No. Jingle Bell Rock. That's why that's there. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, go. think I played one wrong note in measure 25. I apologize. Yeah, I mean, I think this one is the easiest of the set. I don't know what you think, but any questions about these moments? Okay, so I do apologize. We didn't have the use of the recordings tonight. So enjoy the rest of your evening. We're going to be done here in 30 seconds. See what you can do in your own space to rejuvenate yourself regarding SoCo. Okay, our schedule is just quickly dwindling in terms of time commitment. So rediscover the joy, pour yourself a scotch in the next 15 minutes and think, hey, this scotch is on SoCo. Okay, so because we want to finish strong. And really, I mean, we only have 2 more sets of recordings due, right? And as we keep going, I suspect our Tuesdays will get shorter too. Again, we got to get through the Hanukkah recording, but I'm not going to keep you around just to keep you around. There's no point in that, okay? So rejuvenate, rediscover your love, and I will see you Tuesday evening. Cool? All right. Say good things about each other and me on occasion. See you later. Bye.